So there's a bunch of books in this series. I only now I have 3. I had 2 before. Gamemaster's Book of Random Encounters, Gamemaster's Book of Non-Player Characters. These are, generally speaking, aimed at your 5e D&D type games, but there's enough system agnostic material in them to make them useful for somebody running something else, typically fantasy. So this is the Gamemaster's Handbook of Proactive Role-Playing. Guidelines and strategies for running PC-driven narratives in 5e adventures by Johan and Tristan Fishel. I said that wrong, I'm sure. Forward by Jenny D. Afterward by Jeff Ashworth, who is the writer behind these. Here's the back, which I think shows up. Not necessarily in the best focus. If you feel like reading that. And, you know, I'm always looking for more GM advice, which I realize can also lead to an analysis paralysis, but sometimes just steeping myself in it makes me think in different ways, and I have found many different processes and things to try that have worked for me over time. Let's see, Part 1, creating proactive characters. Part 2, creating a proactive world. Part 3, running a proactive game. Okay. We break these down. In Part 1, creating proactive characters, we've got character goals, factions, non-player characters. Great. Proactive world, we have locations, conflict, and rewards. Excellent. Proactive game, we have encounters, plundering in Pine Hollow, a proactive one-shot adventure. Okay, nice. So it has an example. And I think seeing something like goals... Okay, I was a little worried when I first saw so much white space here. I was worried there was going to be some sort of bizarro decision to have the top half of the page be white throughout, but once you get past this, that is no longer the case. Anyway, goals. And as I think it was Colville put it, ambition. Having characters with ambition is important. In an ongoing game, you need the players to want to do stuff. And I've had a lot of different types of players over the years. Some who seem to resist any urge to do anything. And where you kind of have to, like, I think of the carrot and the stick. And I remember running a game for somebody who was so useful to have in your group because all you had to do was put a carrot out there. Did he ever have any interests of his own that he wanted to pursue? No, not really. But you put any carrot in front of him and he would go after it. And it was great. And that was what he wanted, and it was a helpful tool to know and to have. You could always count on him to go after what you put in front of him, which was great. But I have had more than one player, unfortunately, who needed the stick, who you could poke and prod and browbeat, and they would just fight doing anything, making any choices, going anywhere. And so that can be difficult. So what you want to do is instill in players ambition, things that they want for their characters, they want to do. And in wanting to do them, they can then find things to pursue and push things forward so that you don't always have to be leading them along. You'll have sometimes players who will complain, it's like, oh, I felt directed. Oh, I had to go do this. I had to go do that. And sometimes that's a sign of a GM who is pushing, or as we say, railroading. But sometimes that's the sign of a GM desperately trying to get players to do anything at all. So, advice on how to get players to be a little more proactive. And I understand to a degree it is a reactive thing. The GM puts the world in front of the players and the players must react. But players can take some of that upon themselves, and they can have desires for their characters, have reasons for their characters to get up in the morning and go do stuff, have things those characters want to accomplish, that they want to find, that they want to do or see, people they want to talk to. That is just so desperately needed. And so anyhow, I'm going to read through this at some point coming up, hopefully, and see if I can glean from this some useful advice. If it turns out to be primarily more beginner advice or stuff that I already kind of know, I'll look at passing this on to a young budding GM of some kind. That's my thoughts on that. This series of books, they are pretty inexpensive. They're nice quality. This is the first one that's paperback. It's a paperback digest, not the hardcover of these. That's fine. It was also cheaper. It's not, it's not a bad quality. It's a nice trade paperback. Is it going to stand up to a ton of use? Maybe, maybe not. But it's not a bad quality book. And anyway, we'll see if I get further into this series or not. There's a couple of other books from the series that I am interested in. Kind of curious about the Dragons one, even though I'm not like the biggest dragon fan. But I've seen some stuff from it, and it looks like some of the dragons are pretty wild, which leans more toward weird beasts and unique monsters that I think dragons should be, as opposed to just, the Dragonlance thing where they're a little bland. I don't want to be whatever on that, but they're a little bland. You get metallics are good, chromatics are bad. They're kind of intelligent, but they're mostly horses. I don't know, Anyway, that's it for me now. Take a look down in the links below. You can support the channel in many different ways. The easiest way is just to like and or subscribe. But of course, you can buy me a coffee. You can check out my Patreon. You can just go check out my blog where I write reviews of books and games and various things like that as I go. On my blog, you'll find affiliate links to DriveThruRPG. If you're thinking about buying something on DriveThruRPG, you could always go use those affiliate links, and I get a little kickback at no cost to you. Anyway, that's it. I'll see you in the next video. At the time of recording this, I have absolutely no idea what the next video is going to be. But this is probably going to be a month or more before it posts. So who knows? The world could have changed by then. Take care.